All right. Welcome to Hit or Miss. Night Strike. I'm I'm here with Brandon of Tactical Images. I'm here with Hawkeye Forge,
Hello.
otherwise known as Jake from Gunsplain.
Hello.
I'm also joined by Smeggy42 of Gun Channels.
Hey, how's it going?
We're we're all members of GunChannels.com. This is our new show, Hit or Miss. So we're going to talk about the important things that matter, but not at all. We're just going to talk about whatever the hell we feel like. Anyways, all right. Our topic this today is who should be able to buy a gun. Now, we've seen a lot of things go on in the past week, the past couple months, even the past years of who should be able to buy a gun and who shouldn't be able to buy a gun. And the problem is that the Constitution states that, you know, the right to bear arms shall not be infringed. So that doesn't mean, just this rich guy who lives in a $7 million, mansion can own a gun, but everyone else can't. That's not what it means. It means that everyone can own a gun. But we've seen time and time again that that right is being infringed because I guess politicians or government agencies are becoming more and more corrupt and want to enforce their own views on the individual. So, I don't believe it's right, but it's happening, and we need to start talking about it, and then we need to go start doing something about it to stop it from happening.
I believe that we made a mistake back before I was even into guns, probably before I was even alive, in conceding that there were people in society who should not be legally allowed to own firearms. It was one of those compromises where we had a big pie, and the pie was wonderful, and we were enjoying our pie. Then people came up to us and said, "Give us that pie." And we said no, and they said, "Okay, we'll only take half of that pie." And we said no, and they said, "Well, we'll take your whole pie." Wait, wait, wait. You can have half of it. We'll keep the other half. And they keep coming up and taking half of our pie. Now all we've got left is a few crumbs compared to what the full pie was. I want my damn pie back.
Well,
Yeah, pie is good.
pie is definitely good, but you know, damn it, I think I lost my train of thought there for a second.
I'm that.
Well, you guys have
Brandon,
seen, yes.
come up with something, please. Help me out here.
I think originally that when the Constitution was created, we were, and I don't want to sound like the left and saying like, oh, it was a different time, but it was a different time. We were fighting, for the independence of America. When you're fighting against people that wanted us to live under King Law, or King Rule, whatever you want to call it. So we never thought that there would be a fluctuation and such a huge development of firearms with modern technology to where like maybe some of it did need to be regulated, and of course I'm against regulations in all of its form, but I'm just seeing like how they're seeing it. Like when the very first car came out, you didn't even need a driver's license. My grandfather didn't have a driver's license when he first learned how to drive. Like it wasn't heard of, but then as more and more cars come on the road, people they're like, oh wow, there's a lot of these things now, and we gotta kind of figure out, for incidental purposes, if something happens, like who's it, So I think it originally when they first saw firearms getting, done to 4473 and all that stuff, excuse me, and like registration, and I don't think they were looking at it in terms of confiscation or trying to infringe on somebody's rights. But now I think it's turned into that. And now I think they're using the good for the bad. Originally we had it set up to where like, hey, look, if something happens, we can actually show that this is the guy that did it, or to where now it's not being used for that anymore. It's being used to like, now we can actually freaking infringe on others' rights, and we can say who can have firearms and who shouldn't. And, this one case, this one, this Amish gentleman, to where, yes, he is right. He does have the right to bear arms. And yes, because of his religion, he has those rights. So this will be an interesting case to see this go to court.
Let's tell the whole story about the Amish gentleman. Take it away, Night Strike.
Okay, basically what happened with this Amish gentleman is he went into his local firearm shop to buy a gun, but because I don't know if you know about the Amish religion, they don't really believe in technology up to a certain point in time. I think it's like the 1800s is as far as they go for, you know. They only allow newer versions of certain technologies, which, you know, the only thing they don't really allow of certain technologies is guns. And that's because even though the Amish are pacifists, they still believe in going hunting and providing for their families because, you know, they're more of the type of people that like to work with their hands all the time because, you know, they don't use technology. Okay? So he went into his local gun shop. He signed the 4473, but he was denied being able to buy his firearm because he had a state-issued license or a state-issued identification card that did not have his photo ID on it, because if you don't know already, the Amish aren't allowed to have pictures taken of them because it's against their religion. So that's why I don't have the court case link. It was something listed on The Truth About Guns. It's one of their posts. I mean, if I can find it, I will link you. But
I'll check the notes.
Okay. Also, we're also joined by Hawaii Volcano Squad. He's here this evening.
Yes, I am.
So I've thought that I had this thought earlier today. Why don't we start a religion and we worship personal liberty?
I was gonna start, you know, the gods, guns, and grub religion. You know, we believe in God, guns, and food, but not necessarily in that order. It's kind of mixed up in between.
Well, what if we made it or instead of and? Yeah, make it more inclusive. You don't have to believe in God. See, I treat God like I treat coincidence. I'd never seen either.
Yeah, we'll do exactly what you know, what is his that Oliver guy who does This Week Tonight. You know, we'll just do what he does. John Oliver. You know, Our Lady of Tax Exemption. If you saw that one, it was hilarious, but it's what I'm referring to. Anyways, back to the Amish guy. Okay, so he was denied buying his guns because he didn't have that photo ID because it's against his religion. So and this is rare for any Amish to do because they don't believe in really litigating whatsoever. But what happened is he decided that he would go and sue. I think it's the state or the government or the federal government for, you know, his ability to buy his guns because, you know, he's not allowed to get any more because they're denying him because he doesn't have a photo ID, and it's against his religion.
Yeah, you know, and I saw something about that on the gun rights policy. I forget who it was, but someone was talking about this case, and they said originally they offered to do fingerprints, which is even more, you know, personal than a picture. And basically, the state said, no, it has to be a photo ID. That's what the law says. That's it. So they were even willing to compromise and just be like, well, why don't you just fingerprint them, and then you can just take a fingerprint when you fill out the 4473.
Well, what is a fingerprint if not a photograph of your fingerprints?
Hey guys, really quick, I hate to do this, but I gotta freaking leave because my audio sounds like everybody's lost in space in here, and I think it's just my connection, and I can barely hear everyone. It's all like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh no! Don't tell
Danger,
me.
Brandon. Danger.
Danger, Brendan.
Actually, that's what it sounds like. So I'll join back in when I get to a Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Okie dokie. Take care, buddy.
Take
See you
care.
guys.
All right. So, yeah, I posted it in the side chat if you guys want to take a look at the post. It was posted from Penn Live. So I think this happened in Pennsylvania. I'm not sure.
Yes, it did happen in Amish country in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah. But as I was saying, the Amish really don't litigate because it's, you know, their religion believes in extreme tolerance, where if you're not Amish, they don't care, and they're going to ignore you unless you're trying to interact with them in a nice way. Like if you're trying to buy someone something from them, or if you're trying to just strike up a nice conversation with them, they'll talk to you then. But sometimes they'll just ignore you because, well, they're Amish. But
So
the religion
one
doesn't
of the
really
things I find
believe in
interesting.
Continue, please.
Shit, breaking up. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. One of the things it just came to me, I just thought of it. People are up in arms about needing like a photo ID in order to vote because voting is a right, and yet they don't seem to care that you need a photo ID to buy a gun. You would think those same people would be fighting for freedom.
Well, I want you to remember we're talking about the same people who say the NRA is just a tool of gun manufacturers. And these are the same people who forget that the NRA is against universal background checks, which would virtually eliminate the secondary market of firearm sales and drive all that money back to the gun manufacturers. All of their logic holds less water than a colander.
Well, they have political reasons for making their decisions, on what they support and oppose. So, politics. I'm trying to find the actual case still, if I could sort through my emails.
It may have been filed, but it might not have been published yet.
So the cause of action is a deprivation of civil rights, like First Amendment.
I mean, this even furthers your whole issue on gun confiscation in general, because you've been talking a lot, just
About
in your corner of the world.
Yeah, well, all politics is local, so.
But
I did send the guy, the chief enforcement officer, a note today in Hawaii, telling him what's up, but haven't got any collected any paperwork for him yet from people that got tickets written to them for hunting regulation violations.
Right. All right. I guess we need to keep on posting the link, because we don't have a chat room yet for Hit or Miss. We need to just keep on posting the link on the Gun Channel so people know that we're live. If anyone can do that, I can't keep on doing that and trying to keep my train of thought. So, one of you guys, pick up the ball for me, please. But as we were talking about, so this is who should be able to buy a gun, okay? And this guy, this Amish man, was denied his rights, which is a violation of his constitutional rights, and it's also a violation of his religious freedom as well, because they're requiring him to have a photo ID when that's against his religion.
Are Amish allowed to fly in airplanes? I mean, how does the guy get past,
They travel they don't travel via airplanes. They travel via horse and buggy. They do it old school.
It'd be hard to visit Hawaii if all you have is a horse and a buggy, but
I don't think they would visit Hawaii in the first place. That might just be a little too far out for them. Unless they can get one of those amphibious buggies and the horse can, I guess they could get a couple seahorses, and maybe that would work.
A big turtle, a big sea turtle.
Yeah, that'd work.
You can lasso them with the rope from the hair on their backs.
Okay, no, we're not making any movie references.
I already did.
I know you do it all the time. All right, but yeah, and I'm gonna go on now that we were talking about this. There's another case that came up, and it's the case of that guy who shot the drone down in his backyard with his shotgun. You guys remember hearing about that a while back, right?
Oh yeah.
A gentleman spotted a drone flying, and apparently it was a camera-equipped drone that was observing his teenage daughter who was laying out getting some sun by the pool. And he did what any protective father would and blasted it.
Yeah, and he got arrested for it, and guess what? They confiscated his shotgun. So, more gun confiscation right there. Anyways,
I
as I
might
was,
have to point out at this point that anyone who is suspected of committing a crime with a firearm is going to get that firearm taken into evidence.
it is whether they want it to or not. So, anyways, today the judge went ahead and said that he is fully justified in shooting down that drone on his property because it was over his property. So technically, it was violating his airspace in a sense.
Yeah, that's one thing that was like about that case that was weird because how many feet above your land, above ground, does it you have to be before it becomes just airspace and not your airspace?
Where it becomes United States airspace instead of yours.
Yeah.
I think it's
500 feet.
500 feet.
That is according to people who are smarter than I am.
Okay, well 500 feet then. So
Must have been a
that's
good camera to view. Well, I mean, it must have been a hit. I don't think you could hit something with a shotgun at 500 feet.
Yeah, maximum operation ceiling of a drone legally is 500 feet, and the minimum operation zone of an airplane is. I'm going to let you guess if it's 500 feet or not.
all right. But the guy who was using the drone, it serves him right because, I mean, if you want to go look at women, go to a strip club, and if you're not old enough for that, well then you really shouldn't be looking at women in the first place.
Just go to the internet.
I mean, yeah, what? You couldn't go to YouTube or Google or you couldn't find some porn site on the internet. I mean, seriously.
Oh, it gets better. After the drone was shot down, the person who owned the drone showed up with three other people in his vehicle. From the article that I read, he had three other people in the vehicle. Just from the article I read, somebody jump in and correct me if I'm wrong. And
That's right.
the man stood on his property with a holstered, I believe it was a 10 millimeter, was the caliber of the handgun he had holstered.
Lucky
And
the guy didn't get shot too, not just the drone.
right, but the homeowner said, if you cross that sidewalk onto my property, the drone won't be the only thing getting shot today.
Yeah, he's well within his right, though he shouldn't have phrased it like that because that could be used as threatening. But at the same time, the guy was flying a drone over his property. You know. Anyway, so we're gonna talk more about this case. Okay. Uh, the judge said the next time something like this happens, they're going to refer to this case. You know, but the judge also said that she does not encourage people to just go out and start shooting stuff for no reason. But 3 times in one day, 3 times over the course of a year, 6 times total over one property, that's not right. That's harassment, is what the judge said. And this was Judge Rebecca Ward. So I just thought we should just throw that out there so everyone hears the whole truth.
I like the way that was worded, by the way. And I'm very pro drone. By that I mean very pro civilian owned drone. I love quadcopters. They are so much fun, and I really want to start getting a quadcopter with a GoPro on it and filming some IDPA competitions from above and track the movement of the people running the stages and everything.
Why a
And
GoPro?
that's
Why not just get one of the drones that has the camera built in?
because the ones that work with a GoPro also have like a rotating gimbal.
Okay. I want to do what that one 18-year-old did. I want to get a drone strong enough and big enough that I can mount my 1911 on.
Well, somebody got in trouble at the Volcano Park National Park for buzzing people at the Jaeger Overlook with the drone, and the guy who was operating the drone got tasered by a park ranger, basically. So
Oh my!
yeah, and basically they they have made up a rule now that says you can't, fly drones over in the park. So,
Yeah, a
but
lot of parks are doing that because drones, you know, you know,
what they said was that the rangers said that the drone operator was causing a danger because somebody might dodge to avoid the drone and fall over the overlook down into the volcano caldera or something. So I don't know how true that was. Having been there, that would be pretty hard to do. But that's what they claimed. So she tasered somebody, and everybody in the crowd seemed to think that was over the top. But the park rangers closed ranks around her, and I think she's in charge of the park security now.
all right.
So don't drone me, bro.
Don't drone
Yeah.
me, bro.
Well, I think it's
Yeah,
important that we also have to make a distinction between a camera-equipped drone and just a regular old quadcopter or hexacopter. Buzzing people doesn't matter what it is. Don't do that. That's crap. But if you're just flying your own quadcopter, hexacopter, RC airplane, whatever around, and you're not, uh, recording anybody, I don't know that I would. I don't know that I would shoot at something that didn't have a camera. Then again, a lot of the models, especially cheaper models that don't have a camera, have the same body shape and the spot for the camera as the ones that do have the camera. So it'd be kind of hard to tell.
right.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that you couldn't fly a drone in the park, but you're caressing people near the edge of a volcano caldera probably isn't a good idea.
It's probably not a great idea.
Yeah, especially when you have a trigger-happy national park ranger with a taser. They're
And
probably
Heavy B mentioned that Americans should have the right to privacy. So, flying a drone over
well,
someone's
that's
property is an
that's not
invasion of privacy.
that's not in the Constitution anywhere.
No, it's not. But we're supposed to have our right to privacy. To a certain
Can
extent,
we
aren't we?
can we interpret the Fourth Amendment as a right to privacy?
I think a case
Not
could be made.
not if that's not what it says, then I prefer to just stick to what it says. When it comes to
Free from unreasonable searches and seizures sounds an awful lot like another synonym for privacy to me. That's just me.
Well, privacy from the government.
Yeah, that was Fourth Amendment was because the British were prone to searching your homes or just taking your homes and moving in, because they needed a place to house their troops, and so search and seizure, that was a response to what the British Army did. So I don't know if drone flying, yeah, or the right to privacy it's different than illegal search and seizure.
Okay. How about we think of it from a property right? I own my body. I am the only person that owns my body, and things that affect my body have to be done with my consent.
That's not a right to privacy.
Hmm.
I'm trying to link it. I got my mouth in front of my brain.
Yeah, well, all I'm saying is when it comes to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, I like to just, go by, try and stick to what it says. Um, I don't know if they call that reading or strict constructionalism, but I don't know.
Right, right, right. Well, let's go on. As I said, the topic is who should be able to buy a gun, and we've been getting it off topic a little bit because we got into drones, but we've noticed that a lot of the Democrat rhetoric is to enforce more gun control on the American people, where why should you blame the American people for something some asshole criminal does? But the problem, and they argue that the problem is that person wasn't a criminal until he committed that heinous act, whatever the hell it was. So, you know, that gives them the justification to punish everyone regardless. I don't believe in that.
Right, and that's I kind of want to go back to that too. Also, the whole who should own a gun thing, because I might be in the minority here, but I am okay with some restrictions. I understand that's not what the Constitution says, but I think we've kind of moved past that a little bit.
Right.
So I'm okay with, known convicted violent felons and whether or not maybe they should just stay in jail. You could make that argument. But if we're going to keep letting them out, we should at least say, you're not allowed to have this gun. The problem is, once you open that door, they have decided that now, I truly think this is their new gun control scheme, is just increasing the number of prohibited persons. You look at the thing with the Social Security and with the VA. If you have someone handling your money, now you can't have a gun? I mean, that's ridiculous. Excuse me.
Well,
So,
it also brings up a bunch of other problems because of, keeping a list of, people who can and can't buy guns and, checking it twice or whatever, you know, just has it brings up all kinds of other constitutional problems. But background
Right.
check. That's why people don't, it's not so simple to do that in practical terms without violating a whole another set of constitutional rights.
We should all be able to at least have our base constitutional rights. But the minute you go out and commit a crime, depending on the crime, of course, if it's some bullshit marijuana charge because you had a joint in your pocket, that's a bullshit crime in my opinion. And we're not getting on that topic though. But just the people who commit murder, the people who commit those kind of crimes should be barred from having any weapons, or hell, in my opinion, they should be banned from being able to drive a car because a car can also be used as a weapon.
yeah, see, the problem is it makes a great 10-second talking point to say, I don't think criminals and mentally ill people should have guns. You're going to find very few people that will argue against that. They'll say, yeah, I agree that those are people who probably shouldn't have guns. The slippery slope comes in is how you define criminal and how you define mentally ill.
And
how you enforce that right to I guess being free, living in a place that's free from where mental patients and criminals can't buy guns without just violating everyone's constitutional rights while in attempt to make such a list of all these people.
Right, and here's the thing: some people are mentally, they're not meant. They have like say, people who, and this is a bad example, but I'm just going to use it. People who have ADD and ADHD sometimes have to be put in mental institutions to gauge whether the medication they're on is working properly or not. And while, yeah, some people say the whole ADD or ADHD is complete bullshit, I agree. But the thing is, sometimes they do that. But those people shouldn't be barred from having guns either because they can go and join the military, and the military will get them guns to go off and fight, Ahmed Ahmadinejad off in Iraq or Afghanistan. But when he comes home, because of that, some like in the state of California, he's not allowed to buy a gun because he was in a mental institution for a physical disorder. Because what that means is ADHD and ADD means that you have a chemical imbalance in your head.
Well, attention deficit disorder, does that by definition mean you have a chemical imbalance?
Yeah, it literally means the chemicals aren't all there, and there's different ways to deal with it and whatnot. And normally,
Ritalin.
normally it's Ritalin, and Ritalin is a form of speed. And some people, as they get older, instead of taking medication, they just drink lots of caffeine in order to cope with the disorder. But they're not.
So I drink coffee, so I'm not allowed to have a gun now.
Yeah, I mean, if you were hyper as a kid, but you're not hyper now as you're older because you drink a lot of coffee or a lot of soda or caffeinated beverages, you're not allowed to own a gun because at one point you were in an institution because they don't differentiate between people who have been rehabilitated or habilitated, as opposed to those who are just batshit bonkers insane. Because you know it's easier just to punish everyone than punish the people that need to be punished.
It's
BDI.
easier. It's easier to take a cookie cutter approach than an individual approach.
Right, and that's wrong because the minute you do that, they'll just open it up to where everyone who doesn't have, like, say, $1 million can't own a gun. I mean, we give them an inch, they'll take a mile.
Well, the problem is if with all this stuff, nobody will get the treatment they need either because they'll be afraid to go lose their rights.
Right, a gun owner with mouth. Sorry.
If they just talk to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and say, I can't focus or something, and having problems focusing and on things, and they get, okay, you have attention deficit disorder, and now you can't own guns or anything. So and turn all your guns in. Why would you go to a psychiatrist and even get diagnosed in the first place? And so you don't want to make seeking treatment like grounds to lose your rights, either. So
and they do that in some states.
I don't know how to do all this, without just breaking everybody's rights, to create such a list and to meet all these requirements, because it's like, well, I don't want to see a doctor because there might be something wrong with me, and if there's something wrong with me, then I lose all my rights, so
yeah, we can't have that because the minute they're able to take one right away from us, they will continue to take rights away until we're living in the Soviet state of America.
Can I ask you a question there? You mentioned a couple times that making a list of, prohibited persons breaks everybody's rights. Can I ask how or why? Like, what? I don't quite follow you on that. If you've been to jail, your name's on a list of, hey, this is a person who's been in jail. Why not just put all those names together and say, this is the list of people who can't have it? And when you go to buy a gun, look at that and say, name's not on it, have a nice day.
Right. Well, I think convicted felons would be a better list than just somebody who's been to jail. Like, what if you were testing PETA or something, and then you were arrested for, unlawful protest or protest without a permit, and you wound up in jail for a couple hours, and now you can't buy a gun for that. I mean, so you have to make it a list of people who've been convicted of a crime, and not just people who've been to jail once.
Make it a list of prohibited persons. Now, as it stands right now, that list consists of felons and mentally ill, like adjudicated mentally ill. And the anti-gun
look at the no-fly list. Look at the no-fly list, man. I mean, that hasn't worked out so great. I mean, I think you had some senator made the no-fly list one time. And once you get on the no-fly list, good luck getting off.
Right. You don't even know you're on.
You're on the list for in the first place.
Yeah.
Though sometimes people are on that list for a specific reason, like they're either a criminal, they're under indictment, or they may be a terrorist. So they probably don't know they're on the list, but they're not going to use conventional means anyways.
Like somebody in the CIA or somebody in the government thought you were dangerous, so they put you on the list. They thought you might be dangerous, so they put you on the list. I mean, who knows how you get on the no-fly list? And I could just see, how many count the rights that get violated in an attempt to make such a list, get you on the list. I mean, where's the due process of being put on and taken off of such a list?
Okay, so then going back to the gun thing, though, the prohibited person, you say due process. If you're a convicted felon or you're adjudicated mentally ill, you had your due process and you lost. So are you okay with them, putting that together and saying, okay, these people can't have guns?
I'm not okay with it.
There would
Does
have to be notification, and you would have to there'd have to be a special court, which American taxpayers would have to pay for, where people could appeal these decisions. They'd have to have a right to appeal. You'd have to get a notification that you are now on the bad person list, and in order to get off the bad person list, you have a right to appeal. Show up here with a lawyer. And you would just create an entire industry of people, and a court system of people just would be clogged with everybody who was on that list.
And then you'll have people on that mentally ill list, which are under that specific group, where they have either had issues like, as we talked before, people who just needed someone to talk to because they were going through a rough patch in their life, and
those people wouldn't be adjudicated mentally ill, so those people wouldn't be on the list.
Are you sure? Are you 100% sure on that?
Well, yeah. How about if just some government person puts you on the list, because they didn't like a website, you clicked on a jihadi website or something by accident. It's like somebody posted a link, or you Googled something and you didn't know what it was, and oh, look who visited a jihadi website, and now you're on the list. So
I've been looking for this. I've been quiet because I was looking for this, but I found it now. A veteran went for an insomnia sleep study.
I remember
in New
that.
York, and then his guns were confiscated for mental illness. He was also a retired police detective.
Yeah, if you go to college, then you'll probably get, from all the psychology students, you'll probably get all kinds of requests, or in your college newspaper for to join some study or something that the psych department is doing, and you get a college credit, or $10 for doing it, and depending on the result, they could get you on a list too. So what I'm saying is, having due process to get on and off the list might create a lot of problems.
That's why I say that list is a bad idea. But the Democrats are going to go for it because, well, they're Democrats, right?
Background checks. They want lots of background checks on everything. So.
Yeah, so they're going to take all this and they're going to use this as just a stepping stone to, as we said,
regulations. Yeah.
Total gun confiscation.
Right. And I see what you guys are, arguing against, and I want to be clear. I mean, partly I'm playing devil's advocate, but mostly I'm not talking about what is Bloomberg's wet dream of where you can just throw anyone on the list for any reason. I guess I'm kind of talking about what would you be okay with? Because I would be okay, like you mentioned, if there's a court is involved in order to get on it, and there's a mechanism to get off it, and you really limit the people who qualify for being put on it to really, really bad people or super, super crazy people. And you got to draw the line somewhere. And you keep bringing up examples of, people that were not super crazy or not really, really bad criminals. And again, that's what Bloomberg wants to do. I don't agree with that. But are you saying you don't want any of it just because they might take it to the extreme?
Well, there's always been a point where they have taken it to the extreme.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If they have the power to put you on the list and they don't like you, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So
what if you got into a lawsuit with Mayor Bloomberg and you're
kind of thing?
What if you were suing Mayor Bloomberg over, something that had nothing to do with anything, and he decided, this guy's a real pain in the ass. I'm going to put him on the terrorists. I'm going to put him on the no-buy list, the no-fly list, the no-buy list, or whatever you want to call it. And
oh God, don't give them any ideas. That sounds catchy.
The no-buy list.
The no-buy list.
Does Bloomberg listen to your show?
No, but you keep your dirty ideas to yourself.
It's so much more fun to spread them around.
Oh God, now it's in my head. Get out of my head, damn it!
The
All right,
no buy list. Okay.
please continue.
Well, I was just gonna say that like right now Bloomberg might not be too happy with the Kansas City Royal pitcher, so he might put him on the list because you know, I'm rooting
Ah,
for the Kansas City Royals because if they win and New York Mets lose, it'll make Bloomberg sad. So you know, not that it makes any difference, but I just don't want to do anything
Yeah.
that makes Bloomberg happy. You
I'm
know.
all for making Bloomberg sad because that dude really needs a swift kick in the ass or someone to really punch him in the face because apparently he, you
No buy
know,
list. No
no
buy
buy
list.
list. You know, it's shit like that that just makes me shake my head.
Well, then, yeah, I guess I'm in the minority because I do think that it would be okay to have something like a no-buy list as long as there's measures in place that it can't be exploited like the way that you're talking. Oh, I don't like the person, bam, you're on the list. It doesn't work like that. I'd
Like
be okay.
let's put all the Amish people on the list or something like that.
Yeah,
You know
they've already started doing that. You
what? Putting
know,
Amish people on the list?
yeah, they're putting Amish people on the list because they can't buy guns because it's against their religion to have a photo ID.
Well,
It's
isn't
not
that
against
a
their religion to
violation
have
of the
a.
First Amendment? You can't discriminate on somebody based on their religion.
Well, apparently they are.
I guess that's why he's having a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the court drawings.
I hope he's got one of those long Amish beards. I mean, like the really, really long ones. Because,
If,
you know,
if he gets the Tom Brady sketch artist too.
That's why old Amish people don't have to churn butter anymore. Their beard gets stuck in it.
exactly. You're learning.
Who mentioned ADD earlier? Jesus.
Well, that's why we have Hawkeye. He's here for comic relief, and I guess, Smeggy, you're our Yankee Marshal.
Oh, I am so
Oh
glad
God.
that I'm so glad that I went to school during the time where I was bored in class. And nowadays, if a student is bored in class, then he can't pay attention. No, I just read the chapter the night before and paid freaking attention to what I was reading.
You have to end that with a damn it.
Gall darn.
Okay, that works too. But yeah, you know, the no-buy list is a bad idea, and deciding who can or cannot buy guns. Well, as you said, we are in modern times, and we've gone a little bit further than just the letter of the law. But I still believe that we should follow the letter of the law to the letter, because if we don't, we'll get people, as HVS said, that are on power trips and corrupt. And once they get to be on power trips and they are corrupt as all hell, they'll start just ripping our rights apart to where we
But
have none.
after they create this list, then they'll do things to people on this list.
I don't think there will be a no buy list. I think there will be a buy list, and you have to be on the buy list before you can uh, purchase a firearm.
Well, I would disagree with that. I don't think there should be that.
Well, what do you do when the no buy list is longer than 50% of the population?
Then you have a really long ass list.
then you don't have a no buy list. You now have a buy list, like people who are
We
in the rest of the
effectively
country.
have a
No,
buy list because you have to get a permit to buy. You have to get a permit to buy a firearm here. So it's the same thing. If you don't have a permit, which is a list of people with a permit, then you can't buy a firearm. So
Brandon, is your internet better now? He's rejoined, but he's not saying anything.
Okay.
He's on
Say,
the no
well,
Wi-Fi
the other
list.
problem is my stupid girlfriend keeps calling me and kicking me out of the chat,
Yeah,
and
well,
she's right in front of me.
put her on the ignore list.
I know.
Oh God, no, wait, we can't do
Not
that.
her
We're talking
list.
about lists. Lists are bad, okay?
Fly a drone over her or something.
Right.
Oh, no, we can only do that when she's sunbathing by the pool.
Too far.
No, that's that's off topic. I've got a bad case of ADD tonight because I haven't had enough caffeine, I guess. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But
So real quick, like to rehash, like you guys were talking about like Bloomberg and like doing all kinds of weird like scandalous stuff, and yeah, like I believe he would, but I don't think Bloomberg is the biggest threat himself. I believe his money is the biggest threat because that freaking pinhead's got like a bunch of it. And for whatever reason, man, like sometimes I really wonder if these people just don't believe like people should have guns because there's a 1% probability that a lot of that I'd say a 0.9% probability that a law-abiding gun owner might accidentally hurt themselves or somebody else. If maybe they don't want to trust people with their own means of self-defense, if they think that nobody should be able to have the right to defend themselves, like sometimes I actually truly believe that for those idiots like that Gavin Newstead or whatever that dude's name is in California. But like for the majority of these people, like I don't actually like believe that they don't care if people have guns. It's just like the whole control factor that makes them feel like more elitist or something like that. I don't know, whatever.
Social engineering.
Yeah, like but yeah, like I would not want people, even like how bad they are, and this is gonna sound bad, but no matter how bad somebody is, I don't want him on a gun list because no matter how we spin it, it's eventually going to turn into a huge database. Because it's like how it originally happened. Like we created all the Brady law and background check to stop bad people from buying guns. Now it's stopping even good people from buying guns. So the slippery slope is real. I mean, it happens. So the more and more we can kind of like, and I may be wrong in saying this, but the more like lists we make up and the more like, provisions of like prohibitions we put on people, like, is this going to be used against us? Even if we try to use it for good, it's going to be used for bad and disarmament.
What if I told you I don't like the Second Amendment because it's literally the only thing standing in between our lawful self-defense and no right to self-defense? I don't like it that we just have the one wall, the one barrier. We need to build more barriers, more state laws and things like that.
then I'd tell you to go to the Netherlands where you can't defend yourself at all because that's Europe.
I know.
You can get free drugs there, and prostitutes are legal, and so are drugs. So it's not all bad.
It's the land of candy. It's Candyland.
Candyland.
Don't. No. Not strike. No.
Not a Candyland fan, huh?
You don't want to be on the candy list.
Oh, no, not the candy list. That's going to be our running joke now, We're just going to have a list for everything.
Right. Speaking of lists, man, like I went to the border the other night. I went to the Nogales sector, and I did some patrol, and it's funny, dude. Like the border is not secure at all, and I don't want to turn this into a Trump talk or anything, but like, I mean, it's true. Like I literally went down there and was like, I could touch Mexico with just my foot, and it's like it was crazy. Like when I was sitting there talking with the agents, like they're saying like this is the most dangerous part of America right here. Like this is where all the cartel and beheadings and kidnappings happen. So.
Didn't they find like a 25-mile long underground tunnel crossing the border just a few hours ago?
They did.
And that's another thing why our borders aren't secure. Another reason why, because if they can just dig tunnels and do tunnels just to smuggle people across and drugs across, then we don't need a wall. But we certainly need to, keep on the lookout for criminals.
Exactly.
Well, they make it sound like that there are no lathes or drill presses in Mexico or any of South America. Like there are there's no way to manufacture a gun, and there certain aren't any capitalists anywhere in the world that would say, "Hey, this is a good money-making opportunity. Bringing guns into America. This is probably a whole lot less dangerous than people."
Yeah, no. Some of those people that are smuggled into the United States don't live very long.
Well, due to the heat, just walking
The heat
across the
alone.
border, if you don't have enough water, you'll die of heat stroke. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, man. Like I literally got to give it up to the people that go out there and make that mission. Like that shows you how bad their country is that they're willing to risk everything to cross that desert and into America. I mean,
Just to get
that's
here and put on some list.
yeah, that's insane. And like I really believe that there should be a streamlined way to become an American citizen. Like it should not take like 6 years. It should take like
It,
maybe three
it, it,
months.
it took my family 5 years waiting after World War II to get a visa. So,
Yeah,
um,
like it took my cousin coming from Germany like 6 years.
Well, I
And
would. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say like, and I think you would also cut down on the amount of like illegal immigration if you just like like okay, let's check their record. Are they a good person? Or are they a bad person? And then like okay, cool, you're disease free. You got no freaking felonies, nothing like that.
We don't need to build a wall to keep you out.
Well, how
So
about this?
background.
The literacy rate in Mexico. Oh, I thought Smeggy was done, but he was just roboting. The literacy rate in Mexico is 93.1%, which is awesome, especially when you compare it to Chicago, where the
in
literacy rate
Spanish.
is 53%.
Yeah,
That's
but
still,
that's in Spanish,
they can
not
still read
English.
and write their native language. In Chicago, they cannot read and write their native language. That's something that people who come here with nothing have over people who were born and raised here. I would love to have an open border because that is in line with my general libertarian thought process. However, we cannot have an open border and a welfare state at the same time. Something like 78% of all immigrants are on some form of welfare.
And also in the school system, you need teachers that speak Spanish, because most of their students are illegal immigrants, and they also have families with drug problems in the family that get spill over into the schools, and it's really a mess for the teachers that get that have to deal with it in the school system. They should just be there to teach, not to deal with like dysfunctional family uh, you know units, and a lot of that is a spillover from illegal immigration. But
All right. I think we've gone as far as we can on that whole note. Um, is there anything you guys want to talk about or bring up? Just as a footnote
well,
or anything?
I'd like the case link to the actual file if somebody could find it, but you know
I
maybe
I
after
link
the
I
chat we'll
linked you
dig it
to
up.
the news
Article.
article, and that's all
Yeah.
I have.
I'd like to point out that it's extremely interesting to me that Connecticut has had to halt its assault weapon confiscation because so many cops were on the confiscate list.
Oh, really? What happened?
Oh, they said that all non-registered assault weapons were going to be confiscated, and they found out that so many people who are on that confiscate list were cops.
That just reminds me of the California case that where all the sheriffs signed on with the Cal Guns Net lawyer uh, 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 to sue the city of Los Angeles on their confiscatory ban on high capacity mags, because if they drive through Los Angeles, they'd be felons with their high cap mags that they have in their patrol cars. So, you know, for their patrol rifles and guns. So,
Is that just a statement? Because that law's really not enforceable. I mean, I've only heard of one case in California where somebody got busted for a standard capacity magazine, and it was because the guy was a drug dealer and he got raided, and it was just like a nail in his coffin to add on the charges. But I've never heard of anybody actually, like a cop pulling over somebody and like, oh, you got too many bullets in your magazine. Like, I've never heard of that happening, at least in California.
Well, I can link you to the court case where every county sheriff signed on to it. Uh, and it was it's like, it's like 50 county sheriffs from all over California signed on to this case. It's a pretty amazing. I've never seen a complaint with 50 sheriffs on it before.
It may be something like they're not enforcing it now, but in the future they start putting pressure on, gun ranges, and they stand around, and if they get caught with it, then you get in trouble. I mean, it just takes
subpoenaed to court. They can't, if they get subpoenaed to a court case in Los Angeles, or they go to a law officers meeting or convention or something in Los Angeles, then they could just, all their weapons, they'd be a felon. So that's why they sign on to it. So yeah, as far as confiscatory bans actually working, I wouldn't know. I mean, I don't see how you could make a ban like that work. But I just thought the case was interesting because just the complaint, says infinite jurisdiction, and there's like, 50 county sheriffs from California. Almost every county sheriff signed on to it. So.
Well, I know they have, like, like when you go to the gun, well, at least in California, you have like what we call the FUDs, where like, you're sitting there, you have an AR rifle, and this guy's shooting his 30-30, and he looks over like, hey, you can't have those are illegal, and he goes and tells like the RSO, and then, then they kick the guy out for having like a freaking standard capacity. And there's gun owners like that, which they should even call themselves gun owners, but I've never actually heard of anybody actually getting in trouble for it. But I know like gun ranges like just get totally squeamish if they see somebody that has like, like if you're at the range, you got your AR and you got a PMag in there, they lose their minds.
Or you shoulder your SIG brace on the range.
No, you can't do that anymore. The ATF will arrest you for that.
I know if they see you doing, if someone at the range sees you doing that, they'll call. That was in the newest episode of Noir, Season 4, which I definitely suggest checking that out. Very good. I was completely wrong about how to pronounce that chick's name.
I thought it was Noir.
Yeah, and I thought that the chick he was talking to was named Jamez, but it's Jamish.
So who was that girl that, like, he was talking to, the one that said, like, man, Osama bin Laden ain't gonna come and kick down your door? And he's all like, Like,
oh, he took her to the shooting range on the latest episode of Noir.
And how did that go?
That went great. She walked away from the range knowing more about guns than most politicians.
Ooh, snap.
Yeah, you didn't see that coming, did you?
So now is she going to be able to, like, tell her other anti-gun friends and be like, look, I went to the range, it was all good, like, I had a great time?
She did have a great time. Whether or not she tells people about that that remains to be seen.
Well, that's usually how it is, though, too, because you have, like, pictures of that guy Chucky Schumer and, like, what's that, Kathy Giffords or whatever her name is, Gabby Giffords. Like, they have a blast shooting their ARs and their Tech 9s and all that stuff, and, but yet they want to ban everything under the sun.
And I think they have a bit of ivory tower syndrome, where they get to stand up away from people and not actually see. It's both an ivory tower and an echo chamber, because everyone in the room agrees with them. They don't see the effects that their words have on people, and that's one reason why I don't like the anonymity that we sometimes see in the internet, leading to nasty things and general pooflinging on social media, because you don't see the effects that your words have on that person's face.
So you don't see the poo?
Yeah. You get to throw it, but you don't have to smell it.
Wow, that's unsanitary. All right. I
Talk
think we've
about
gone
getting
as.
put on the shit list.
Oh, God damn it! Not that list again. All right. Well, I think we should wrap it up now. Uh, I want to thank Brandon for attending, and maybe he can keep attending.
Yeah, man. Sure.
Did you take any video when you're down on the border?
I did. I got to put together the video. It was really dark, and I don't have night vision cameras or anything or any thermals, so I look investment clear stuff and night vision. But I definitely need to get that up because I would definitely like to start doing some photography down there. But I did take some pretty good like night images. So I'll be having those up on YouTube, and then I'll send them over to you guys, and you check them out.
All right.
Cool.
Awesome.
Hey, speaking of night vision, I'd love to get everybody's input on this. I want a rifle with a night vision optic on it. And this could be a coyote rifle. It can be a power out home defense kind of thing. Or at least I can read a book with night vision.
Read a book with a night vision.
I've used my lightsaber before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, battery powered lightsaber. I was reading a book, power went out. The Force was with me.
The Force was with you. Okay. Well, I also want to thank Hawkeye Forge, otherwise known as Jake from Gunsplain, for showing up.
Hero.
I want to thank Smeggy42 for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
And I want to thank Hawaii Volcano Squad for, eking his way in here.
Saving the best for last. So I have the screen share up right now of all the sheriffs in this case who signed this petition against the ban.
Awesome. We should probably get a link of that so we can put that, I guess, in the show notes.
Right.
Or I can put that in the details of the show, just so people can look up on the stuff we talked about today.
Is there any police chiefs that have signed anything similar to this?
They're all police chiefs and county sheriffs. Actually, it's mostly county sheriffs.
Well, a county sheriff is technically above a police chief because a county is bigger than a city.
Right. Yeah. Police chiefs are appointed. Sheriffs are elected.
Yeah.
But I mean, like usually.
Technically, you should trust the sheriff more than you should trust the police chief because, a sheriff is elected by the people and he serves the people. A police chief, he's elected by the city.
Okay, I just put the link in internal.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys for showing up for a hit or miss. We'll be back, I guess, next week on Tuesday. We're going to try and keep it at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We may start a little later depending on whether we get our shoot together or not. But
put us on your list to watch.
Put us on your list to watch. I'm still new at figuring all this shit out, so please give me a little leeway, all right?
Don't forget to go to gunchannels.com, make an account, and come join us at gunchannels.com/lobby. We hold conversations most of the time.
Yes. I also want to remind everyone that listen to this that the expressed views and opinions of us are not to be used as legal advice, nor do you need to use it for legal reference either, because we're not lawyers. We have no idea what we're talking about.
If you claim anything that I said was legal advice and you're put in court because of it, I will show up in court and testify against you.
I'll drive him to the courthouse.
I'll put him on a list.
No, not the list.
Put him on a shit list.
All right. Well,
the list of people who failed the ID 10T.
Thank you for listening. This was Hit or Miss.